I wanted to ask you about Cormani, Coach. He obviously
Yeah.
entered the portal. Just, is there anything that you could share about the situation?
Yeah,
Why did it
yeah.
work?
I'm always in prayer for our young men, and I want the best for them. And I pray to God that he goes to a program that challenges him as well as hold him accountable and develop him as a young man. Unfortunately, we weren't the program that can accomplish that. So prayerfully that he understands that this is the second go-round and get it. Go get it, man, because he has a tremendous amount of talent, but he has to want it.
I also appreciated what you said this week about CORMANI McCLAIN, who is a really talented kid, top corner recruit in the country. And you just flat out said, well, he's not preparing himself to play football. He's not on time for the meetings. He's not putting in the time on his computer at night. And I appreciated it because it's hard to talk to a kid like that when he is so valuable to your program, but you're just saying, no, that's, as you said, that's not you.
You can't have value to our program unless you show value to our program. And you can't tell me you want to be the best and you're not preparing to be the best. That's just not commodity. That's kids all over the country. See, the thing that registered with us, we had those hard-nosed, tough coaches that we loved. They made us who we are. And I'd be darned if I'm going to flip it and turn into something that I didn't grow up with. Like, I'm sitting here today because of the Dave Cables, of the Ron Hoovers, of the Mickey Andrews, and so forth. That's why I'm here. And I'm still old school, not an old fool. I'm still old school, and I inhabit those principles, and I'm going to stand on them.
Yeah.
And I'd be darned if I'm going to reward you for ignorance. And that's just not him. That's a multitude of players around the country.
This is a story about CORMANI McCLAIN, and really not just about CORMANI McCLAIN, but CORMANI McCLAIN'S all over the United States. 5-star athletes, kids who had phenomenal high school football careers, and then they get their opportunity to play at the D1 level, and sometimes it doesn't go well. Well, let's take a look at top cornerback recruit in the nation, one of the top teams in the Sunshine State of Florida, Lakeland High School. Initially committed to the U before flipping to Coach Prime Deion Sanders and the Colorado football program. Scene 1. CORMANI doesn't show up to Boulder until the first week of July. That only gives CORMANI less than 60 days to prepare for, at the time, what would be the TCU Horned Frogs. And TCU was coming off of a national championship appearance in the final game against Georgia. Now, we all know they got smoked and boat raced by Georgia, but this team was returning a lot of good players. And CORMANI was figured to be in the framework of the Colorado defense. Only problem was he didn't show up in December of 2020. Was it 22? I think it was 22, coming up into 23, when true freshmen are supposed to show up. CORMANI showed up 2 months before the first game. Okay, let's go to scene 2. CORMANI has moments adjusting to the new altitude in Boulder. Anyone going in that altitude for the first time, it's an adjustment. If you've never had to perform at a high level at that altitude, it's an adjustment. I think Coach Prime had a moment where he had to go to the emergency room and be given some type of treatment for altitude sickness. So even he had a moment trying to adjust to this altitude. And here you have a guy Coach Prime had figured to be in his starting defensive lineup, but he didn't show the initiative to want to come to Boulder when basically most true freshmen who plan on playing the next season would normally show up. CORMANI doesn't show up until July, when he could have showed up in January. So he's almost 7 months late showing up to practice. Showing up to camp at Boulder. Scene 3. CORMANI clearly is not happy about earning number 7. He saw earlier in the offseason when Cameron Silman Craig, when Coach Prime was it was a period where players began earning their jerseys that they wanted. No jerseys were given to anybody. If you wanted to if you wanted to wear a certain number, you had to ball out versus that other player, other athlete on the team who wanted the same number. It was a competition. And that's the environment Coach Prime is promoting at CU. It's an environment of competition. Nothing is given. Nothing is given. And CORMANI was not happy about that. And this is why I believe, and I may be wrong, this is where the attitude began to change in this young man's career at Boulder, in his brief career at Boulder. Scene 4. CORMANI's work ethic off the field begins to catch up with him. Now, as I stated earlier, CORMANI wasn't happy. He showed up late. He showed up in July when he should have showed up earlier in that year in January. Now, we don't know. Nothing was ever said from Coach Prime, because Coach Prime keeps the players' lives private. He doesn't put people on blast unless you put yourself in that position to be put on blast. And I guess when he's tired of answering the questions, then you're going to be put on blast. And there are some interviews that we're going to listen to here and there. And I just to give you an idea, a flavor for what Coach Prime had to deal with.
I wanted to ask you about CORMANI, Coach. He obviously
Yeah.
entered the portal. Just, is there anything that you could share about the situation?
Yeah,
Why did it
yeah.
work?
I'm always in prayer for our young men, and I want the best for them. And I pray to God that he goes to a program that challenges him as well as hold him accountable and develop him as a young man. Unfortunately, we weren't the program that can accomplish that. So prayerfully that he understands that this is the second go round and get it. Go get it, man, because he has a tremendous amount of talent, but he has to want it.
But here it is, where CORMANI's attitude, one, I believe that the catalyst for this was where he did not get his number, because he had a gold chain with the number 7 on it. So when he saw Coach Prime, when he saw Cameron Silman Craig earn number 7, and he never got the opportunity because he wasn't there to compete for it. So Coach Prime was not going to hold that jersey for him, and especially when he's trying to promote a I don't want to say culture, because Coach Prime doesn't like that word, but he's trying to promote an environment of competition. And CORMANI did not understand that. CORMANI was still thinking like a 5-star athlete instead of a freshman. Let's go to scene 5. CORMANI is given number 1 by Coach Prime. Coach Prime is doing his best to work through the issues and the attitude that CORMANI has experienced and is experiencing. This attitude is starting to spill over in his off-the-field work ethic. Allegedly, reportedly, CORMANI is showing up late to meetings. CORMANI is not going to class on time, and in some cases may not be showing up at all. Now I'm going to be absolutely careful with this. I said allegedly. I didn't say this was actually happening. I believe this was reported. These were reports that I may have heard at the time CORMANI was dealing with the issues on and off the field. You can't have the career you want on the field if your off the field life is this disruptive. You can't come to a program. I don't care how good you are. That's one thing that when you look back at a player's life, and there are a lot of coaches that are only concerned about winning. And in some cases, you can't blame them. They want the recognition. They want the opportunities that come with winning, to move up in life, to get a better job. So understand what their motives may be. Coach Prime, I'm not saying he's better than any of these other coaches who we laud over because of the number of national championships that they won. But Coach Prime is trying to teach life skills to CORMANI. He's trying to teach skills that a player can take beyond the game and into life and become a better person, a better individual. And that's what he was trying to teach CORMANI. Which brings us to the title of this video, the 5-star hangover. CORMANI, when arriving on campus in July, showed up as a 5-star high school top recruit instead of a freshman. He's coming there with the attitude that he's still living the high school life. Coach Prime made it clear that once you come to CU, the stars disappear. You're just like every other student athlete in this program. We don't look at you, oh, he's a 5-star, he's a 4-star. The stars drop. Coach Prime said that you lose your stars. The moment you set foot on campus, the stars are gone. I think CORMANI underestimated what Coach Prime was trying to communicate. You're going to have to compete just like every other kid, every other student athlete on this team. And sometimes that's an adjustment for these student athletes coming out of high school with all of these accolades, the attention and the notoriety that he got. CORMANI was the top cornerback in the country. So imagine going through high school, everybody telling you how good you are. You on everybody's highlight reel. You in the All-American game. You're playing in all of these these games after your high school regular season and playoff season and state championship season is over. CORMANI is a state champion, and he goes on and plays in, I want to say, at least one All-American Bowl that the best players in the country compete in. So he's riding a high coming in to Colorado. But that's where the 5-star hangover comes in. He never let that go. He's still riding on the 5 stars instead of coming in as a true freshman. That's why he was expecting a lot of things to be given to him because of his talent. And that's what Coach Prime was trying to communicate to him, I'm sure, in the recruiting process. And I'm sure he made that clear when he showed up to Boulder. And I don't think CORMANI ever got on board with that. I believe the catalyst for Coach Prime, and some people may say I'm wrong, but I'll go with that. I'll go with Coach Prime and the staff say. But I think in my heart, I believe when he gave him Cameron Craig, when Cameron earned number 7, I think it began to go off the rails for CORMANI. And this is not an issue that CORMANI is only dealing with. This is an issue that most kids are dealing with at the college level. So, what can we take from this? What can we learn from this? Success requires no explanations, and failure permits no alibis. At CU, the standard is the standard. No one is special or above the program. You earn everything. Nothing is given. These are life skills, as I've stated earlier. Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, and the staff is imparting to all who cross their path in Boulder, players, non-players, other scholarship student athletes playing other sports, students, and fans as well. If you cross Coach Prime's path, you're going to get a life lesson from Coach Prime, if that's what you seek. He's going to, the same thing he is imparting to his players, he will impart to anyone at Boulder. So when you have a chance to meet Coach Prime, pick his brain. Try to get what you can from him, because you may not get another opportunity should your career lead you away from Boulder, Colorado, while Coach Prime is in Boulder. Again, these are life lessons that Coach Prime is sharing and willing to share with everyone. Let's not put CORMANI in a bubble. As Coach Prime mentioned in a couple of interviews, CORMANI's not the only kid that's like this. He's just one of many, many kids you probably never hear about. But let's learn from CORMANI. And next time you show up on campus, show up early. If you have the opportunity. Now, if academic requirements are keeping you from not showing up in January, the leading into your freshman year, then it is what it is. But if you have the opportunity to leave school early and rather than spend your second half of your senior year in high school, go ahead and start your college career. Coach Prime allowed Dylan Edwards to go back to his prom after committing early to Boulder. Now, we all know Dylan is playing at K-State now, but Coach Prime allowed Dylan to live out his high school life in terms of the prom. Now, when the prom was over, it was back to business. But he didn't try to rob him of his high school life while he came to Boulder early. Keep that in mind, young men. Those of you who aspire to play at the next level, if your dream truly is to excel and possibly make it to the league, there are going to have to be some sacrifices. But understand, with those sacrifices, there are going to be opportunities for you to relive your high school career again. And Coach Prime made avenues for that to happen. And that was a message not just to Dylan Edwards and CORMANI, but to any young freshman who was willing to sacrifice the second half of his high school semester to come and start the process at Boulder. That's all I have for you guys right now. You all have a blessed day. I'm out.